Experiences. When someone is standing at death's door, they will have one real significant item making up their entire life: experiences. This is the case no matter who you happen to be, whether it be social status, background, interests, religion. Everyone is dealt the same exact hand. However, there's a plague found in almost everyone at the end of their life: regret. According to Bronnie Ware, who wrote Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, had the #1 regret listed as, "I'd wish I'd live a life true to myself, not the one others expected of me." This is the case no matter who you happen to be, but you have time to change this in your own life. Unlike people at death's door, you have your whole life ahead of you. And what I want to give you today is my best method on how you're going to find your experiences that are worth remembering, loving, and living. This is a How-To Experimenting with Life by Trace Taylor. Throughout my entire life, I've been through an extraordinary amount of experiences in many different fields. I've been to public and private schools totaling up to 6 or 7 different schools. I've been involved in almost every extracurricular you can imagine. I've been in sports ranging from basketball to wrestling, all the way to competitive cornhole. And I've been or learned or almost about every country in the entire world, and I know every single flag. But I mention all these different varied things to show how I've spent countless hours testing this method amongst many different areas. But looking back on all these different things, I find one key conclusion. My conclusion is that experimenting with life and different interests in different areas is the best way I've ever found success. When I look back on it now, I think of these 4 steps on how you guys can implement this in your own lives. First, what I would do is I'd look at fundamental areas that you're currently involved in that you have to do. Things like school, hanging out with your family, or making money. Invest more time into those things in order to heighten them. And then second, what you want to do is you look at things that you're not even currently involved in. Look at anything that even remotely interests you to something you just spontaneously wanted to do and go after it. And third, this is a very crucial step. If you need to, for this new experiment, cut out something you're currently doing because you don't have all the time in the world. This step for me is one I've neglected. Time and time again, I've overcommitted myself to too many different things, causing me to lose joy from almost anything I'm doing because everything begins to feel like work. So if you do decide to use this method, make sure that you are making enough time for everything within it. And finally, allocate an amount of time for this new thing more than what you're comfortable with. When I look back on my entire life, there's one key moment I point to as my greatest success with this method. It's when I decided to switch middle schools going out of my 7th grade year. I was at a school named Grant Beacon, and I really struggled making friends. It felt as if when I went to school, the only thing that I was allowed to do was attend. It felt all social circles were outcasting me, and I felt isolated. I felt trapped without a solution. But I'm a cashew. My mom grew up Jewish and my dad Catholic. Because of this and my mom knowing I was already unhappy at my current middle school, she would always talk about the local Catholic middle school, Most Precious Blood. At the time, I never wanted to go because I thought the school's name was really weird. I thought private school was stuck up, and I just wasn't Catholic. It was insanely unattractive. But I was tired of going to school and having the only people I talked to being the teachers. So I decided to experiment with something extremely random for my life, and I changed schools. And to this day, I never regretted it because I always spent this time at this new middle school, and I love it. And to this day, I still attend Catholic high school. But there's one key thing that I did with this time around that made it different. I'd switched middle schools before. In my 6th grade year, I had switched to Merrill for 1 week, but I was terrified of this new school. I didn't want to be there, and I felt outcasted again. So I switched back. But this time around, I decided to finish out the year at Most Precious Blood, and like I said, I couldn't have been a better decision. But even though this experimentation method has brought me my greatest successes, it's not foolproof. I was a varsity wrestler for 2 years, and this year I quit. Wrestling started off as something that I was just remotely curious about. I had only done tennis my freshman year, and part of my intrigue was I didn't want to seem like a pussy for only playing tennis. So, after thinking for about a day, I did something extremely random and joined the wrestling team. At first, it started off as something I really enjoyed. Even if after matches, duels, tournaments, it was the most tired I'd ever been. But over time, the constant tiredness over months and long periods of time would make my school day-to-day extremely hard and make doing anything outside of school practically impossible. But I'd heard from other people on the wrestling team they'd had similar experiences their freshman year. So I thought maybe it was just a honeymoon phase and I'd give it one more year. But even with this time in between, all the problems were still there when I came back. So it ultimately caused me to quit wrestling. But I didn't walk away from this from nothing. I walked away with wrestling with valuable lessons and memories. I walked away with the state championship my team won in 2023 and all the friends I'd made from it. I walked away with the valuable lessons of learning what real hard work was. Even to this day, I still compare other things I do to the difficulty of wrestling in order to stay motivated. So even in the worst case scenario, if your experiments fail using this method, you still always gain some sort of benefit. You can't change the length of your life. You only have so much time. You can either choose to do things you want or choose to wish or end up wishing you did what you wanted. This talk isn't meant to say you have no hope. It's quite the opposite. I want everyone here to live a happy life, but I want to make sure I can guarantee your happiness by giving you your best method for finding it. And I want everyone here, when they get to their end of their lives, to change what Bronnie Ware said. I want everyone here to change the whole narrative of being unfulfilled. Thank you.